Hey everybody, welcome to this multi-part video about prop coatings. So I'm relatively new to the powerboating world, and I was digging up some information on protecting my propellers on a Sabre 48. So I've got IPS 15 drives with on each drive is a 3-blade and a 4-blade nickel bronze aluminum propeller, and they're pretty expensive propellers. So I wanted to make sure that I was going to protect them for the coming season. And like many of you, I went looking on the internet to find out, should I use PropGlide? Should I use PropSpeed? Should I use any number of other products? And I couldn't find any direct comparisons. So what this video series is going to be about is about properly coating the props. And then I'm going to put them on our boat for this coming season, the 2026 season. And one drive is going to have both props coated with PropGlide, and the other drive is going to have the props coated with PropSpeed. And then at the end of the season, the end of next season, I will pull the boat out of the water. We'll take a look at the props. I'll shoot more video, and I'll post that as well. So right now, what I have is both products here, and you can sort of see what you get with both products. I bought medium kits because according to the website, I should be able to coat 2 props with one medium kit of the PropGlide, PropSpeed, and then the other medium kit should coat the other 2 props for my side-by-side comparison. So let's start with what you get, right? So for about $180 to $200-ish online, you get the medium kit with the PropSpeed, medium kit for PropGlide, apologize, which comes with everything you're seeing, which is basically the hardening primer and then a top coat. It comes with a little bit of instructions, a mixing stick. That's kind of it. For substantially more, $290 to $325 online, you get the medium PropSpeed kit, which their coverage calculators are different, but theoretically I should be able to coat 2 props as well with this medium kit. And this medium kit comes with several wipes for cleaning, a stirring stick, much more detailed instructions. It has the etching primer base, and then it has the clear coat. As you can see, I built 2 prop holder stands here, which will allow me to very easily rotate props and get access to everything as I'm painting the product on, or rolling the product on it, as the case may be. So let's see how this turns out, and I'm really excited to find out at the end of the season, is it worth spending more money for PropSpeed, or are you just as well off saving a little bit of money? And apparently this should be easier to apply, but we'll find that out as well. Okay, so there you go. We'll see you on the next video. Hey everybody, I'm about to start applying the PropGlide, and the first thing I did was read the instructions all the way through. And the second thing I did, because effectively these props were already prepped by New England Propeller, they were sanded down in the manner that PropGlide wants them sanded, with 60 to 80 grit random orbital sander. The next thing to do is clean them with water, and then wipe them down with a dry rag, and then put on rubber gloves, and then wipe them down with acetone, at which point I will be wearing my respirator. When I wiped down with water, quite a bit of dirt came off and discolored the rag, and then I dried them with this rag. So you do actually take quite a bit of dirt off of these props. I'm following the instructions. I'm going to keep going, but I'm going to put this on time lapse, and I'm going to have my respirator on, so I will show you the video of the application process, but ultimately I'm just following these instructions. All right, that's it. See you in a little bit. I've got a little bit of a gripe about PropGlide. I think the application went fine, but their instructions are conflicting. So the instructions that came in the kit was this little 4-inch by 6-inch card, and I followed those instructions. But this morning I went online and went to the PropGlide website and found these instructions. And there are some key differences. First being temperature limitations. On the online instructions, it specifically says primer base, hardener, and clear top coat should be brought to 70 to 80 degrees temperature range prior to mixing and application. And that does not exist on this card. So this is the card, again, that comes with the kit that you buy. So yesterday when I applied the primer base, hardener, clear coat, it was about 65 degrees in here. So the products were stored in here, so they were about 65 degrees, not 70 to 80 degrees. Of course, I didn't know that I was supposed to do that because the instructions that came with the kit don't say anything about that. So don't know if that makes a difference or not. The second thing is the primer base specifically says brush application only, do not spray. Whereas the instructions from online, right here, underlined, say the application may be done with either a natural bristle brush or a foam roller. Again, none of that appears here. So I'm going to give PropGlide kind of poor marks for coordinating their application information. Depending on what piece of their gear you're looking at here, you're going to get different information. You're going to get one bit of information from the card that comes in the kit. You're going to get other information from the can that comes in the kit. You're going to get a third version of information from their detailed instructions online. Shame on you, PropGlide, for putting us in this position where we have to be a super sleuth to figure out how to apply your product. I think the application went well. This morning, I'm about to do the PropSpeed, and it's 70 degrees. The props are 70 degrees. Everything in here is basically 70 degrees. So based on that, I looked up flash times for PropSpeed's product, and at that temperature, it should be about 8 minutes between coats. So I've got a little timer over there that I'm going to use to sort of as a reminder to check the tackiness of the first coat of primer so that I can stop whatever I'm doing, do a recoat, and when that timer goes off again, I'll have to do the top coat. So I may not be able to go through both props fully with the first coat and then fully with the second coat and then fully with the top coat. Their instructions are very specific that when it's time to recoat, stop what you're doing, go to the recoating process. When you're done with that, go to the top coat process, even if you have to repeat all three of those steps on the other half of the prop. All right, so that's what we're going to do. Had I known that we could use a foam roller to apply the primer base of the PropGlide, I would have done that. It would have sped up the operation, but I think given the temperatures yesterday, I was probably well within the recoating window. So I think the application went fine, but was almost more a matter of luck than skill because of the conflicting information. So today I'm with PropSpeed. I'm going to use their kit to apply the primer coats and hope that that speeds up the process enough where I literally can get through in 8 minutes, at least recoating or coating a full prop the first time, and then recoating and the rest of that. And I may have to move on to the second prop as the second operation. So we'll see how it goes with the timer, and we'll do a time lapse, add that onto this video, and then at the end, I will share some notes with you. Okay, thanks. I've completed the coating of all the props, and I did 2 with PropGlide and 2 with PropSpeed, and I wanted to quickly go over some of the things I found doing this work. I didn't intend to create an exhaustive instruction video on how to apply these things. Those already exist. Really, this is more kind of a wrap-up of what I learned first time coating props with these products. It is challenging. There's no doubt. I've been wielding a roller and a brush my entire life, and I think you've got to be fairly skilled to take this work on yourself. So I used a roller when applying the primer for the PropSpeed, and used a brush to do the top coat of the PropSpeed. And for the PropGlide, I used a brush for both the primer and the top coat. So a couple notes about the roller application. Pros: the speed of coverage is excellent. When you're rolling on, you can cover a lot of ground pretty quickly. And that's really good because time is of the essence. This stuff flashes very quickly. It's also easier to coat the edges, I found. When the roller rolls over the edge of the blade, and then you spin the blade to be able to get to the other side of it, you can easily clean up a drip just by adjusting pressure, right? So that was pretty good. With the brush, I found that I had to sort of tap, 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 tap all the way around the blade, and then I had to go back and brush the surface that I'd already painted, and then move to the back surface, and then go back and check it again. So you really had to pay a lot more attention applying with the brush, and it was a lot slower. So I definitely recommend using the roller for those reasons. The downside is that as the product in the roller tray began to harden, rolling the roller in the tray picked up little bits of things that had hardened. So even though the product coming out of the can into the tray was didn't have any debris in it, right? It was very thoroughly mixed. The roller picked that up. That I thought was not great. There's also a little less control. I mean, yes, you're covering a lot more surface area in any given amount of time, but because of the length of the roller and the curve of the blades, it was really difficult to get an even coating because while you're applying some amount of pressure at one point, you're applying less at the other, or the other way around. Whereas with a brush, it's very easy to have a consistent pressure on the tip of the bristles, and tip off, as they say, right, and control the finish that way. So again, if you know a little bit about brushing or rolling, there's pros and cons anyway, but I think next time I would stick with the roller, do the first coat, and then when I do a second coat, I would just abandon that tray and pour the rest of the product into a fresh tray. So I think that's probably the way to go. I'd like to share with you a couple of painting techniques that I found through trial and error worked best. When I first started coating the props, I'll show you here, I was painting the first coat of primer on like this across the blades, and then trying to sort of paint in between the blades like this, and it worked okay. But what I found was I wasn't really being systematic, and ultimately what worked best was starting at the tip of a blade and painting across the blade this way, and I did that on the second coat, and then work your way to the shaft, painting this area. Of course, you have to kind of run this way. Speaking of runs, look at that. And then continue down the next blade like this, and then rotating and continuing on, and essentially work your way all the way around the blade. I'd also like to share with you what I learned about the quantity of product needed. Looking at each company's website and using their estimate calculator, I determined that their small kits would not be enough to coat 2 props. As it turns out, the medium kit could have coated all 4 props, but you don't really get that from their website. It's a real challenge hitting 100% of the surface with the top coat. Doing the primer coat, it's easy to see where you've been and where you haven't been. With the top coat, because you need reflection from lights to see whether you've got coverage in a certain area or not, and because the blades are curved, you're moving your head all over the place, bobbing around like you're a bobblehead doll, and even then it's easy to miss things. And of course, as you know, time is of the essence, right? This stuff, depending on the temperature and humidity level, the first coat will flash off as quickly as 3 to 5 minutes in high heat. So a tip I have is, I really liked my cooler controlled environment. It ended up being about 69 or 70 degrees. And that almost doubled my application time, from 3 to 5 minutes to about 8 minutes between coats. If you can possibly do this in a controlled environment and cooler temperatures, you're far, far better off. The last thing I'd like to say is that both in the can and applying it to the props, both of these products, they look identical, both the primer coats and the top coats. For all I know, chemically they are identical. I have no idea, but they look identical, they apply identically, and in the finished product looks remarkably similar. In fact, the only difference I can see in the finished product is that with the PropGlide, because I used a brush on the primer coat, you see that sort of gold yellow color in streaks, but that's because of the brush, not because of the product. Whereas on the PropSpeed, it's a more uniform color. You don't see the streaks from the brush. So I have to tell you, from an application standpoint, I think both products are identical. As far as difficulty, it really comes down more to your skill level and the tools you're using. Be sure to check back in November 2026 to find out how each prop coating held up in real-world use in New England salt water. Thanks for watching this video.